private capital, generally speaking, or potentially even on the green financing side?
Okay, thank you, Samira. As a country, and it's something that we spoke to when we have this big risk of currency mismatch, where the investors provide their financing in hard currency, but then governments have to pay in their local currency. So as a country, we try to be innovative to see how we can tap into the pension funds and even savings and see how that can be utilized for long-term investment in some of our infrastructure projects. So added to that, you spoke about green bonds. This is something that we also want to exploit and see how this can also support infrastructure development. But most importantly, we have one of our projects, which was an institutional housing project where the private sector went and raised a sukuk bond, which is an Islamic financial instrument, to see how that can be tapped into and provide financing for that particular project. And it's something that is up and running now. It's under construction, and we do hope in the next few years the construction will be done, then we go into O&M. Added to that, we've seen quite a number of concessional financing from DFIs, which are blended with the commercial debt, just to make projects financially viable, and this is something that we're seeing more often being launched in the market. Yes.
I know that you just mentioned, sukuk, so Islamic finance, and we touched on it briefly in the corridor before we started. Do you see this as an effective way to essentially scale up potentially this blended finance structure, or the sukuk that you mentioned is pure like private structure essentially, so it's not blended with essentially MLI funding or even philanthropic funding or concessional funding?
I think if you look at the savings of the pensions, as it stands today, Kenya has assets under management amounting to
2.4 trillion.
2.4 trillion. And I think it's prudent for us
Kenyan
to see
shilling,
how,
that is.
Kenyan shillings, to see how we can tap into some of this financing for purposes of infrastructure development. And this is something that we're very deliberate on. As we speak, as I say, we are trying to see how we can crowd in financing from all the pensions and saving funds and put them in a pool and to support infrastructure development. So I think with this will also help in deepening the domestic capital markets to support infrastructure development.
Okay, no, thank you. Tom, perhaps let me take or get your take as an MLI essentially on this innovative structure, because when we talk about blended finance, of course we talk about IFC in the middle among other MLIs, but also perhaps the appetite and the trend on the green financing.
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, what we're seeing, I think, is first making sure that the transactions are